A man gasping for breath in deep despair. Ominous rules flash before his eyes like a death sentence. Who cares about laws while robbing the afterlife's bank? Hellish monsters scream as they hunt him through the halls. He ignores the warnings and seeks a quick escape route. Shattered glass flies as he dives into the empty night. He hits the ground alive, thinking he finally made it. But wait. A giant shadow looms over his broken body. A brutal blow crushes his ribs and sends him flying. He collapses onto the pavement, coughing up thick, dark blood. The monstrous guards sneer at their dying, pathetic human prey. Shenmue clutches his chest, cursing his miserable, wretched fate. For 5 years, he crawled through this post-apocalyptic nightmare. Humanity was nothing more than food for these demonic horrors. Only ghost coins hold any real power in this world. He gambled his life to rob the great Netherworld Bank. Now, his bold plan ends in a violent, bloody tragedy. He falls into a dark abyss, unwilling to accept death. Was this truly the end of his 5-year survival struggle? Suddenly, his mysterious spatial ring begins to glow with power. Under a blood-red moon, the world starts to shift. Crimson light fills a long-forgotten, peaceful school hallway. He gasps for air, waking up at a wooden desk. His eyes widen as the terrifying truth begins to sink in. Shenmue has been reborn before the apocalypse even started. Suddenly, the classroom erupted with terrifying rumors of blood and death. Shenmue listened intently while his heart hammered against his ribs. He glanced at the calendar and froze in pure shock. It was true, he really traveled back to the very beginning. Memories of monsters tearing humans apart flashed through his mind instantly, but soon he noticed a strange weight upon his shaking hand. Was it possible? His spatial ring actually followed him through time. Inside, a literal mountain of ghost coins sparkled with infinite power. He possessed the ultimate advantage to survive this hellish world. He recalled the initial tragedy destined to strike this school. Suddenly, a bloody system notification materialized before everyone's terrified eyes. The Midnight Canteen mission was starting, and failure meant certain death. Rules appeared clearly. Arrive before midnight or perish where you stand. Panic spread like wildfire as students realized their lives were ending. Desperate screams filled the hallways while everyone ran for their lives. Amidst the chaotic frenzy, Shenmue walked forward with calm precision. A girl collapsed in tears, begging for a way to escape. Shenmue warned her that breaking the rules meant instant erasure. She trembled violently, paralyzed by the weight of her own fear. He ignored the chaos, focusing solely on the legendary Midnight Canteen. A dark smirk played on his lips as his plan formed. Why just survive when he could own this entire nightmare realm? The final countdown began, sealing the fate of the slow. Those who hesitated screamed as the world began to erase them. Finally, Shenmue stood before the canteen, ready to claim his destiny. The heavy air of the canteen entrance stifled their breath. The red-haired girl gripped Shenmue's arm in desperation, but Shenmue ruthlessly swiped her hand away from his coat. He questioned her identity and told her to stay away. Suddenly, a dazzling light announced the arrival of the canteen's manager. She coldly explained that every guest deserves absolute respect. She warned that damaging the property meant certain death, stated that leaving before the shift ended was forbidden. They were led inside to meet their terrifying customer. A massive, shadowy figure sat waiting impatiently at a distant table. The monster turned and roared for them to get closer. A girl shrieked in absolute terror at the sight of him, but the manager immediately commanded her to shut her mouth. The manager bowed low, apologizing for the staff's weak behavior. Ghost guards dragged the sobbing girl away into the darkness. The beast growled, demanding his meal be served at once. A horrific feast of rotting eyeballs was placed before him, but the monster began devouring the glowing slime with primal hunger. The red-haired girl gagged, barely holding back her rising nausea. The guest pointed at her, demanding she wipe his mouth. Terrified, she backed away, refusing to touch the disgusting creature. She wept and begged Shenmue to save her life, but Shenmue remained indifferent, questioning why he should even help. She grit her teeth in rage at his cold betrayal. Woo! Finally, she reached out with a cloth to serve the monster. Nah! The monster tossed a rare tip onto the table. She gasped with joy, clutching the precious ghost currency. Her friends stared in disbelief at the glowing purple bill. Oh! Rumors said even millionaires struggled to find these ghost coins. She mocked Shenmue, gloating over her sudden stroke of luck. The beast demanded she clear away his empty plate. Excitedly, she reached down to satisfy the creature's request. But suddenly, a shadowy foot extended to block her path. She tripped violently, the ceramic shattering against the cold floor. The monster's eyes burned red as he demanded immediate payment. She screamed, accusing the beast of tripping her on purpose. A cold, clawed hand gripped her arm with iron strength. The manager appeared, cold rules governing her every move. Her eyes glowed blue, radiating a lethal and ancient hunger. Desperate, the girl offered her only ghost coin for peace. Chenmu warned her that she was making a fatal mistake. She ignored him, shouting that her debt was now settled. But the manager revealed one plate cost 20 ghost coins. Her heart sank as her meager payment proved utterly worthless. Human wealth meant nothing in this realm of eternal darkness. The manager leaned in, whispering about a gruesome punishment. Tears streamed down her face as her arrogance vanished instantly. Was there any hope left for the girl? None remained, the monster cackled, finding her pathetic terror extremely entertaining. His hungry gaze turned toward the remaining terrified survivors. The monster leaned in with a wicked, taunting smirk. Chenmu simply stared back, his expression cold and unmoving. The creature dangled a single bill like a cheap bribe, but soon, a terrified girl begged him to stay away. Undeterred, Chenmu stepped forward to accept the deadly challenge. He snatched the ghost coins with lightning speed. In the next moment, his hand moved in a blurring flash. Exploded. The ceramic plate shattered into countless jagged pieces. Was it a mistake? The entire room fell into deathly silence. Chenmu demanded they move to the final stage. The red-haired woman cackled, certain his life was finally forfeit. Pay or die, the manager hissed, her eyes glowing blue. Chenmu revealed his hidden trump card. You! The manager gasped as the currency glowed with dark power. As a guest, I have certain rights, he declared boldly. Now, he commanded the staff to obey his every whim. Unexpectedly, the manager's cold demeanor began to melt away. She looked at him with newfound interest and asked his name. My name is Chen Mu, he replied with absolute confidence. But the red-haired survivor screamed for his immediate execution. The manager explained how he had outsmarted the system. Shocked, the woman realized her petty scheme had completely failed. Desperate, she tried to buy her way into the same safety. But the rules were final. There were no more chances. Horror filled her eyes as her certain doom approached. The wealthy traveler turned toward the pale clerk. He demanded to speak with the canteen owner immediately. Suddenly, he declared his intent to purchase the entire building. Clerk laughed. It would cost millions of coins! Chen Mu reached into his deep pockets. He slammed a massive stack of glowing cash down. A fortune for a tip? The lady gasped in shock. Witnesses watched in disbelief. The entire room fell silent. Her eyes gleamed with greed. A hidden big shot appeared. However, the red-haired girl screamed at him in rage. Chen Mu stood cold. They were merely strangers. The clerk scrambled away to find her superior. The young man waited. He wore a sharp, knowing smile. Suddenly, the clerk turned back with a wicked, dark grin. The girl begged for mercy. Was it too late? She clawed at the floor. Her strength finally failed her. The shadow dragged her into the cold darkness. Mew! The spiky-haired monster trembled before the rich human. He stammered excuses. He had drunk far too much. Chen Mu snapped. Get lost! The creature agreed instantly, fearing for his miserable life. He vanished instantly. Gone in a heartbeat, Chen Mu gestured. Sit down. They wondered. Was this still a deadly horror trial? Everything changed the moment money entered this twisted world. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed through the eerie hall. A mysterious woman approached her master with a serious report. She introduced the newcomer as the legendary Mr. Chen Mu. He stood there, his eyes sharp and full of hidden secrets. A terrifying presence loomed directly over him. Who dares to buy my midnight canteen? The ghost demanded. Chen Mu didn't flinch and calmly claimed he was the buyer. The ghost sat down, eager to test this bold human's resolve. He bragged about the location. Despite the canteen's failing revenue, Chen Mu listened quietly, already seeing the true value within. In his past life, this place became a world-class horror hotel. Meanwhile, the ghost boss was desperate to dump this worthless trash. He worried if Chen Mu truly had enough wealth to pay. Just name your price, the young man said with a smirk. The ghost raised a finger and demanded 7 million ghost coins. His assistant whispered in shock, fearing the price was far too steep. Chen Mu fell silent, rubbing his chin in deep, calculated thought. Panic set in as the ghost realized he might have overreached. He quickly offered to negotiate a lower price to seal the deal. No need, Chen Mu declared. I will pay 8 million instead. Their jaws dropped at the mention of such a staggering fortune. But this extra payment came with one very specific, non-negotiable condition. The ghost boss beamed, willing to do anything for that much gold. Every single member of the current staff must stay with me. Was this a trap? The beautiful assistant could hardly believe her ears. The greedy owner admitted he planned to abandon this place. He happily dumped all his terrified employees onto Chen Mu's lap. With dollar signs in his eyes, he begged for the money. Chen Mu casually suggested paying for everything in cash. Suddenly, a mountain of ghostly coins exploded onto the floor. The owner went wild, seeing 8 million bills floating everywhere. The official transfer contract was slid across the table. "Just sign this, and everything belongs to you," he cackled. Chen Mu didn't hesitate and firmly inked his name down. In an instant, a massive surge of purple energy erupted. The old owner explained that the contract rules were now absolute. Chen Mu felt a deep, mystical connection forming with the building. This canteen was finally bound to his soul like his ring. The ghouls celebrated dumping a failing business for a fortune. Meanwhile, Chen Mu knew this property would soon be worth billions. Both parties shook hands, certain they had made a killing. The former owner sprinted away, clutching his heavy bag of cash. Turning to his assistant, Chen Mu announced he was changing everything. She smiled brightly, ready to follow her new boss's every command. The clock ticked down to the final minute of the mission. He boldly declared that the horror mission would end right now. He told the trapped girls they were finally free. Tears of joy filled their eyes as they thanked their savior. Chen Mu ordered a staff meeting to begin immediately, and minutes later, a line of ghosts stood ready for orders. The young man officially declared himself the new boss. The strange workers just blinked in stunned, silent confusion. He addressed the months of unpaid wages they suffered. Suddenly, a massive mountain of ghost coins appeared before them. Their eyes bulged at the sight of such incredible wealth. He promised consistent monthly pay for their continued loyalty. The monsters cheered wildly, treating their new boss like a god. Buying eternal gratitude was surprisingly cheap for a rich man. He waved goodbye and stepped back into the night. He knew his ghost soldier rank was still dangerously low. Higher-level horrors could still rip him apart in seconds. In the next moment, he decided to find some survival gear. Suddenly, a mysterious purple taxi screeched to a halt. Without hesitation, the young man reached out for the handle. He requested a ride to the distant Wangjiang estate, but the driver was a skeletal corpse with glowing green eyes. The car sped off into the dark, eerie city streets. The speedometer climbed to a truly terrifying pace. Was such a reckless speed really necessary at this hour? A faint, metallic scent of blood filled the cabin. He spotted fresh, bloody handprints plastered against the glass. He had unknowingly entered the legendary, cursed Nether taxi. This haunted vehicle was a moving trap for the living. He recalled the major threats facing all of humanity. Forced horror missions were a deadly trap for the unlucky. Beautiful faces hide the most vicious, bloodthirsty monsters imaginable. Suddenly, you realize you have stepped into a literal nightmare. Fresh blood pools beneath your trembling feet. The hero recalled the secret rules of the ghost taxi. Jump out immediately or face a truly gruesome, agonizing end. The penniless always end up as a snack for hungry horrors. Yet, this demonic ride offers perfect protection from outside attacks. He decided to make this cursed vehicle his own. The purple car screeched to a halt at the estate gates. A skeletal driver demanded 10,000 glowing ghost coins. Our hero recoiled at such a blatant, ridiculous overcharge. The monster hissed that the poor would surely suffer. He mocked the blind skeleton for his impressive driving skills. "Bah, pay the fare now, or die right where you sit." Suddenly, he grabbed the skeleton's cold, bony hand with ease. He slammed a thick stack of cash down. In the next moment, the undead driver began to sweat. Paying the fare guarantees safe passage out of this hell. The greedy ghost had hidden the meter behind his own body. Was it a trap to justify eating a helpless passenger? The skeleton wondered how a mere human possessed such wealth. The real price was revealed to be only 10 coins. "Just pay the small fee and leave me alone, human." But the hero flourished his massive pile of glowing cash. He dared the trembling ghost to take his money.